So the first 3 slides are just quotes about some anecdotal accounts of what people feel like they get from volunteering, and all of the volunteers were from the Maroon and Golden Rule Project. And this volunteer, and it was from a survey, so it just said volunteer because it was an anonymous survey, and I don't know how to credit it any other way. I usually find, and this is no different, that I go into a service project expecting to impact the life of those I helped. However, I come away knowing that the experience really affects me more. Service helps you give back to people and to learn that the personal benefit and the self-worth you gain means more than money ever will. The feeling after you help someone is extraordinary. It is a sort of high which helps give the little to do more service. At the same time, you have helped make someone else's life a little easier. So those are some of just the anecdotal accounts of what people feel that they gain from volunteering, and those are some of the experiences that I've had with volunteering too. So I was really interested in trying to see what the actual literature said to see if there was a benefit. Because I'm really interested in the clinical side of psychology and more of the intervention, and kind of looking at whether volunteering can be an intervention used as an adjunct in therapy. And there are tons of benefits to volunteering, but then there are also, kind of like you mentioned, that there is such a thing as too much volunteering, and not only in those instances do you not get the benefits, but it can be counterproductive and actually decrease health as well.
I like the way you said that, counterproductive.
Because I mean, yes, volunteering is very helpful to the person who did it, but it can also help the individual volunteering. But if it's at a point where you're just overextending yourself, you may not be getting the benefits that are desirable. So it's been linked to lower rates of mortality and depressive symptoms, a greater functional ability, enhanced psychosocial role performance, which basically means that you get better social interaction, alertness, emotional behavior, and communication, coping adaptability, and well-being. At any point you guys have any questions, just jump in. But I mean, basically, this is saying that volunteering improves your health physically, socially, emotionally, and it can help with the activities of daily living, especially in the elderly population who volunteer, because it helps get them more active, it helps get them the social connections, and just by staying active, it can really help with their mobility and independence. Some additional benefits are that you get increased self-acceptance and self-confidence. So by volunteering, you can kind of pick up some skills along the way, whether just in variety of formats. Some of it may be more functional skills, like if you're volunteering, doing more like manual labor type of thing, it may be more of a skill like that, or interpersonal skills if you're working more in a group of other people, just all sorts of things. And going along with that, it can improve social support and increase positive moods. So just building those connections with other people, whether it's other organizations or other people you're helping or other people that you're volunteering with. It can lead to greater meaningfulness and purpose, improved fulfillment, personal satisfaction, and gratification. So it can just really improve your quality of life and help you have a better outlook. It can promote personal development, like I was saying. It can help promote the different development of various skills. And it just enhances overall well-being and health. And well-being and volunteering influence each other, which means that yes, people who have better well-being may be more likely to volunteer, but it's also that volunteering can increase well-being. So it's not just a one-way relationship. That makes sense.
Can you just repeat that one?
Yeah. Okay, so people who have better well-being tend to be more likely to volunteer, but volunteering can also further enhance that well-being. So it's not just a one-way relationship. So like I said, the finding stands that volunteering enhances overall well-being and health even when you're controlling forecast well-being. So say that there's a scale and people are at all sorts of different levels on this well-being scale. Whether you're at a 3 or a 10, it's boosting you up to a higher level. There's greater benefit for greater consistency and duration. So if you're a more consistent volunteer, if you have more of a regular commitment to doing it, and you're doing it for a longer period of time, you're more likely to get the benefits within certain constraints. There's a lot of the research says that it's about 100 hours per year. That is the ideal number where you're getting the maximum benefit. The helper feels as though he or she matters in the world. So some of it really is just, seeing how you're influencing your world and that you're gaining the efficacy for seeing that, hey, I really can make a difference. I can make my community a better place and help other people. So kind of gaining those skills and that can kind of translate into trying more things and some of the well-being in that sense. So some of the specific mental health benefits of volunteering is that overall it just improves mental health, even if you're previously mentally healthy. So these studies weren't just necessarily done with a set of individuals with depression or anxiety. They're just a group of people volunteering regardless of their mental health status. There's not been any really, really severe mental illnesses and that I've noticed in the research, at least not that they've commented on or had as a variable in the studies. And the mental health benefits that you gain when volunteering and helping other people are more than the mental health benefits that you gain when you are helped. Excuse me.
Yeah, it kind of keeps you out of whatever you're going through, whatever your emotion or your physical needs, and it gets you out of your own little closet.
It certainly does. And for some people, depending on who they're helping, it can also be like, wow, this person is so much worse off than I am. What am I complaining about? Kind of a mentality. It decreases stress and negative emotions, and it helps even when you're volunteering at your job. So your supervisor comes to you with this extra project that may include extra hours that just isn't part of your regularly assigned duties. You can still get the decreased stress and negative emotions even by volunteering for that. And some of that may be the associated perception that, this is really going to help me get ahead later on. But again, if your job's already really, really stressful and it would just be a big overextension, you may not get those benefits. And it's also been found that there's decreased stress and negative emotions even in a sample of individuals who are recently widowed. So when they're going through the bereavement process and just all the grief, they still felt the benefits of decreased stress and decreased negative emotions when they began to volunteer. And overall, it just increases positive emotions, self-esteem, life satisfaction, happiness, and well-being. And there are some theories, like with depression research, that we have a level of negative emotions, and then we also have a level of positive emotions. So part of what causes depression is an increase of the negative emotions and a decrease of the positive emotions. So it's having the decrease in those negative emotions is helpful, but also having an increase in the positive emotions can further help the happiness and well-being. Did that make sense, or would a visual be better? So for more of the mental health benefits, specifically looking at self-efficacy related concepts, self-efficacy is basically the degree to which we believe that we're able to accomplish something. And we have an overall self-efficacy, so in general, how the degree to which we think we can impact our environment. And then there's also domain specific, so your self-efficacy for math or for reading or for doing raking or whatever. But the studies show that it can increase both the specific self-efficacy as well as general self-efficacy. And that kind of translates into some related concepts, which is it improves confidence, that you see what you can accomplish, and it can boost that confidence and just knowing that you have that control over your environment. Can improve locus of control, which basically is whether you think events happen to you or that you can control your events. And I mean, as most people would agree, there is a balance. I mean, you can't control everything in the world, but you do have some control, at least, over your personal choices and how you decide to respond to some of those events that are out of your control. So it can just help people take a more active role in their lives. And like I mentioned, it can improve the specific self-efficacy, the general self-efficacy, and then collective self-efficacy is more looking at a group of people and just seeing what they can accomplish together and believing that more as a team that they have a greater control over their environment. Self-competence, dominance, self-agency, perseverance, and mastery of beliefs. Again, just looking at the degree you can kind of control your environment is basically kind of what all of those constructs play a role into. And with the perseverance, just know that even if your first attempt at something tries, you're more resilient and you're going to try again, or at least more likely to. And then it can also improve physical health benefits. There are several studies done with individuals with multiple sclerosis, and they saw improved health benefits. They have better, individuals overall have better perceived health, so not necessarily if they have multiple sclerosis or cancer or whatever. It's not just showing improvement on actual medical tests, it's actually feeling better and thinking I'm healthier and things such as that. And having the better perceived health is linked to they have a better understanding that they can impact their environment, that, even though I have all of this going on and I do have some limitations, I can still do something and I still have those skills. My grandma has really bad arthritis, and when my grandpa's died, she just doesn't think she could do anything, and it's just like, you still can accomplish so much. And just seeing how volunteering would be able to help people still see that they can impact their environment, even if they can't do it in the ways that they maybe used to be able to when they were younger, or when they didn't have this diagnosis or weren't going through chemotherapy or something. It's a protective factor against stress and disease. So stress is linked to causing many physical health ailments and diseases, obviously. So volunteering kind of helps make you more even physically resilient to those types of illnesses. Because they're out in the community and networking with more people, they may have better access to health information just because of word of mouth and knowing of different organizations in town, how they're helping these people, and maybe through that, the helping that they're finding out about all of these other resources. And then they also tend to live healthier lifestyles, and they're showing the physical health gains regardless of prior health. Volunteers tend to exercise more, use substances less, even alcohol and nicotine as well as other drugs. They're more likely to take advantage of preventative health care, have less stress, and tend to be happier. And so volunteering just can kind of, in those baby steps, just gradually improve one's overall lifestyle. I mean, some of the studies were looking at more of adults who are out working in like a forest, I think it was a forest setting, so doing some more of the manual labor things and just showing, especially how some of those more physical tasks really are improving overall lifestyles, that, you know, they're out in the fresh air and just enjoying that and being more active, and then they want to continue to be active because when they start moving, they start to feel better. I mean, at first you might get, they tend to be sore, but then after a while with repeated use and just having that commitment to something to keep the repetitive use, you start to feel better and start to want to do it more. And then, like I mentioned before, there's lower mortality rates. Okay. Some of the social benefits. Volunteering can increase social support, sense of community, connectedness, community inclusion, relationships, social knowledge and skills, confidence, empathy, listening skills, social sensitivity, cultural and social sensitivity. So when you're volunteering, you're often not working in isolation. You're helping someone, you're helping an organization, you're volunteering with other people. So just through some of that, you gain more of the social relationships, and a lot of times seeing how you help somebody, and especially if they are appreciative, that just builds more of a bond. Or if the organization that you're working for is particularly supportive and really helping you find the resources you need to be able to help the person, or providing you with the supplies that you need. Just feeling the various social support can really help. Some of the empathy and listening skills, some of this research with older adults is just, you know, going to a nursing home and just visiting with some of the residents, because they may not have the physical skills to be able to do some of the other things. Because a lot of the research looks at older adults, especially in old age, which is 80 and above. So I mean, most 80-plus-year-olds aren't going to be out picking up trash on the side of the road. But I mean, several of them still are cognitively able to carry a conversation. So just improving the listening skills and empathy and just kind of getting outside of themselves, like you mentioned. Identification with the social group may increase future risk of volunteering and the view of helping. So if you start to identify with a group or identify yourself as a volunteer, you're more likely to volunteer in the future. And you're also more likely to have a positive view of helping. Respect and pride result from support from the organization. So there's formal and informal volunteerism. Formal volunteerism is where you're actually working for an organization to help. So Kiwanis Club, Lions, the kitchen clinic, whatever. And informal is more like you go and help your neighbor out or something where it's not necessarily has the repetitive commitment. It's more self-initiated if you want it to be repetitive. So, but for the formal volunteering, like I was mentioning, having the support from that organization of just equipping you and praising you for your efforts can help you have more respect for yourself, for the organization, for other people, just respect in general, and also have more of a sense of pride in what you're doing. I know for me that if I feel better able to help and I feel like I have the resources to be able to help, it's more of like, yes, I can accomplish this and really do a good job at it, which I think makes it easier to be able to be like, yes, I accomplished this and I'm just helping the building skills. And it can also improve work satisfaction, commitment, the volunteer retention rate, perceived organizational attractiveness, willingness to engage non-volunteers, and sense of importance. So if people are wanting to start a volunteer organization, having that, just being really supportive, it can be helpful. You know, I've helped with the Center for Dispute Resolution at Missouri State, and their staff has been really supportive and checks in and be like, you know, how can we help you do this better? How can we just help? And I mean, that has really helped me feel like I'm doing a better job at it, and just it makes me want to keep volunteering there. Some additional social benefits are that it decreases alienation, so you're in a more social setting, so you tend to feel less alone. Can improve some of the social functioning, just giving you some of the social skills, further developing those. There's a mixed results about the pre-existing level of social support. Some studies say that the amount of social support you had prior to volunteering doesn't affect the increases, whereas others say that if they have less support prior to volunteering, they gain more than the volunteers who have higher level. So if a person's at a 1 on the social support scale and a person's at a 5 on the social support scale, maybe they both move up to a 7. So the one that had greater social support already is only getting 2, whereas the person who had a 1 is gaining 6, if that makes sense. And those numbers were just arbitrary, just to illustrate it. Now, some career benefits of volunteering that can help with personal growth, have a greater sense of impacting your environment, a greater desire to improve community and to teach children. And it was specifically teaching children, and I don't know why exactly it was just children, but I think it may have had something to, the authors concluded that it may have had something to do with just kind of raising up the next generation and being like, hey, I'm affecting the world as it already exists, but I want to have an impact on the future too. Developing job-related skills and connections, such as adjusting to a routine, having a better commitment and being seen as more reliable, can also help with leadership, teaching, and networking skills. And all of those aspects specifically are linked to greater job benefits. So you're seen as a better leader, you're able to do a better job of instructing your peers or subordinates or whatever, and you're a better networker. Those are more likely to translate into job-related benefits. Some additional career benefits, career adaptability and optimism. So if you're thinking about applying for a job or switching careers or whatever, volunteering can make you feel like you're more adaptable, and it can also help you be more decisive. And I think some of that might just have to do with, you're trying out all of these different skills in a setting that may be seen as a little bit less threatening than actually applying for a job. And because most volunteer organizations aren't going to turn you away if you don't get every week raked up. But if lawn maintenance is something you're really interested in, maybe it would help you make that decision that, this is something I'm really good at, I really like doing this, yes, maybe I want to start out my own business. Volunteering for optional work tasks leads to career benefits, better well-being, more happiness, better organizational functioning, and it can also help coworkers. So some of those optional work tasks with the organizational functioning, just everything needs to be done. So if you're doing it, it can help the organization move more smoothly, which can help you be seen as a better leader. You might have some promotion benefits or wage increases. It can also be seen as you're helping your coworkers out. And all of those things can translate into happiness and better happiness and well-being. But again, you don't want to overextend yourself either. There's also spiritual benefits of volunteering. A lot of volunteers, regardless of their religion, just feel an awareness of a higher power, that whether that's God, Buddha, whatever. And they just have, they feel a greater sense of self-transcendence that, they can affect something more than just themselves. Caring can boost spiritual well-being through investing in others' needs and empathizing with others, which can re-energize the helper's soul and replenish his or her spiritual reserves. So just feeling better about yourself can help create better spirituality. And it can also specifically increase religiosity. So in those who are already religious, and this was geared more towards Christianity, but it showed that they tend to pray more, have more satisfaction with their prayer life, and also more positive religious coping. So coping skills by consulting God or reading the Bible and different things that are more in line with Christianity. Also specific benefits for youth, such as academic achievement. So for older adults, they tend to have more benefits than their younger counterparts with the mental and physical health, finding purpose, establishing morale, stability in their life goals. So, I mean, a lot of that's with the transition to retirement life or whatever, just still feeling like they still have some sort of purpose and meaning in their life. A lot of times that transition to, I've worked this job for my whole life, or my whole adult life, or worked in some job, and then just all of a sudden you have all this free time, and it's great for a little bit, and then it's just like, what do I do now? So a lot of times volunteering is seen as being something that can help supplement and help get some of that efficacy back. It can improve longevity, it can increase physical functioning, and the effects of volunteering in older adults tend to persist for 3 to 5 years. Socialization, after they had stopped volunteering. So you stop volunteering in 2013, you'll still have those health benefits that you gained until 2016 to 2018. It can improve the socialization, and I think that's especially important at this age where a lot of older adults are losing a lot of their members just because death is more common at that age. And it can also improve life satisfaction among both advantaged and disadvantaged adults, though some studies show that the disadvantaged adults, and that's looking at more of the having fewer resources, fewer social support, lower income, have better life satisfaction gains than the ones who already have a lot of social support and financial needs. There's benefits for older adults specifically with arthritis. It can increase your symptom management and communication with the physician. It can decrease your depressed mood, fills the vocational void post-retirement, and greater confidence, happiness, and improved outlook on life. And a lot of the studies with older adults did look a lot with arthritis specifically. But I'm not sure why the research is specifically looking at that. There's also benefits for those with HIV, better physical and mental health, longer survival, less depression, less alienation, more positive sense of self and empowerment, making positive community level changes, and they're also more likely to alter their HIV preventative behavior. And like we've already kind of talked about, that the benefit only really holds if you volunteer within your own means. But a lot of the studies repeatedly have the number 100 hours a year as the best. Some of them didn't claim a number, but I mean, it probably does have something to do with your own resources and what is feasible for you. One study has lower mortality with at least 40 hours per year with one organization. So not overextending yourself by trying to volunteer for too many different organizations. Some of them said moderate duration, which they didn't really define. and those were for, that was specifically for Israeli Jews in old age, so the 80 plus. Another study said that the more volunteers, the better. So they don't necessarily have one best answer, but 100 was a common number that kept coming up. Bottom line is that although some variation in benefits exist among the various cultural groups, researchers have noticed consistent patterns in overall well-being due to the benefits of volunteering. So, as we've talked about, volunteering can lead to a greater sense of purpose. It enhances your quality of life. It can improve your self-concept. It can improve your functioning. It leads to greater self-acceptance. You can learn more about yourself, like you've mentioned several times, and just lead to a lot of personal growth and can enhance life satisfaction. And a lot of these results are realized really quickly after you start volunteering, especially if it's in a volunteer position that really matches what you're wanting to get out of those. So now if you turn to your handout, this instrument is called Volunteer Functions Inventory. It was created by Clary and colleagues. And basically for all of the items there, you're just supposed to indicate how important or accurate each of the following reasons for volunteering are for you and doing volunteer work using the following scale. So 1 to 7, 1 is not at all important or accurate, and 7 is extremely important or accurate. Does that make sense? If anybody has any questions, just let me know. Just based on your results, there's lots of different resources in Springfield for trying to match what you're wanting to get from a volunteer opportunity with the opportunities available. Websites such as Volunteer Match and Volunteer Search are just basically search engines for volunteer opportunities.